Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode, I am joined by incoming junior on the UNH men's hockey team, Alex Gagne. Alex, in 2021, was drafted by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the sixth round. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Alex. And how's everything going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm excited.
Well, how's your summer been going so far, Alex? And have you been up to anything interesting, whether it's hockey related or not?
So far, actually, the team just left. We were up here summer session, from late June to late July. Um, Taking a class, doing workouts, skating, getting the freshmen acclimated to kind of our schedule. Other than that, really just working, working out, skating. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, my free time, I like to go up to the lake. We have a big lake, Lake Winnipesaukee. Just honestly relax up there.
Nice. Yeah, I know. Hopefully you're enjoying that weather because I feel like the weather has been sort of shaky this summer, but it's finally starting to be very nice this week. So I'm trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
Now, obviously, what's it been like sort of trying to work with the team this summer? And what's your first impressions of the freshman class and sort of what can Wildcat fans expect to see from them this year?
Yeah. I mean, the summer is all about, getting to meet everybody, seeing how we gel together, doing various things together, whether it's having a barbecue after a workout. I know we did like a mini golf tournament within the team. So like a scramble, which that was a lot of fun. I think all the guys played, which is something cool. I know some Euros that was their first time, but it was a good time. As far as the freshmen, I mean, I was really happy with all of them. Definitely in the weight room, they came prepared. Um, they definitely made some strides along the summer session. Then on the ice, I mean, they look really good. I know some of them honestly just probably finished their playoffs. Some played in the USHL, so they were just coming off that. No, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do this year. I think they're going to be put in positions very early that they're going to need to step up and they're going to need to be needed. So I'm excited.
Now, heading into your upperclassmen years, what do you want to work on the most individually, and how have you been going about that this summer?
For me, oh, sorry about that. For me, um, honestly, you know what, being a leader, this year, definitely trial and error, some ups and downs. I think having more of a consistent voice in the room is one thing I've been trying to work on. Being more comfortable with speaking up. Um, and as far as individually, I think, you can always get stronger in the weight room. Um, and then my biggest thing is, I mean, I've known it since I was probably 14, is my skating. That can always get better. And when I went down to Tampa's development camp this year, we spent a lot of time with their skating coach, Barbara Underhill, to kind of really go through my technique and see where some of the weaknesses are. So we're making up a plan, which I'm really excited about, that I'll be able to use with my workouts on the ice with the D coach here, which I mean, I'm looking forward to.
Is there any communication between you and Tampa during a college hockey season, or do they sort of just try to leave you on your own?
Um, it honestly depends. I mean, they'll come to games. I mean, I'll talk to them after. I'll get their feedback, which is something I mean, you always want as a player to know what your weaknesses are, what you can work on. Um, Other than that, I mean, not really. I mean, they'll call here and there, but they'll kind of leave you alone. They really don't want to disrupt anything in the season.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I'm just curious because I know each team does it differently. So I'm always curious to hear how each team sort of approaches it,
Yeah,
especially with Tampa, because they obviously have a lot of success with developing late round prospects.
yeah, yeah. No, they've done a really good job. I know I've talked to their sports psychologist there, Ryan Hamilton. I've talked to him a couple times. Their resources have been really useful, so I can't complain.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, I sort of now want to transition and talk about the beginning of your career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So, doing research on yourself, it says that obviously, you're from New Hampshire, Bedford specifically. So, talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey and falling in love with the sport.
Yeah, I come from, I want to say hockey background. My brother and dad played, so that's ultimately how I started. My brother's 4 years older. My dad played Division II college, so I think I was 4 years old when I started, and kind of just followed my brother, to be honest. Played in the same organization, New Hampshire Avalanche, out of Hooksett. My dad was my coach until I was 16. So that was pretty cool to have him be on the bench. Um, other than nothing really, that's kind of how it started and then progressed from there.
Who was like your favorite player growing up? I'm assuming probably someone on the Bruins, if I had to
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. When Dougie Hamilton was there, I actually changed. I was number 14 and then I changed my number to 27 because of him.
That's pretty sick. Have
Yeah.
you met him before?
No, I remember going to a Bruins off day practice, but
Mhm.
only it was back then. I think it was like 2012. It was only like Chris Kelly came out, so it was still pretty cool. But I was kind of bummed I didn't meet him.
Yeah, I've never met him before as well. I always am curious about that, but I haven't heard of Dougie Hamilton honestly since well, obviously I knew I still watched some Devils games and stuff, but like the last time I really remember him on the Bruins was before he got traded to the Flames that year where they sort of wanted to switch things up. But
Yeah,
I, I'm a Bruins fan myself, and I was more of a Tuca guy, even though I wasn't a goalie. I always just liked watching him play.
yeah. I remember I actually went to what was it? When was his last game? 2021, right?
It was something along those. I think it was like he played 4 games one year, and then his hip stuff started coming up, so he had to retire, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I went to his last game. I think it was on Willie O'Ree night. So
Yeah,
unfortunately they lost, but that was pretty cool just to see.
yeah,
And also Willie O'Ree night. That was pretty special.
yeah. It's unfortunate because I sort of wanted him to end it off his career on his own terms, and unfortunately, he couldn't do that. But because I feel like he didn't get the respect he deserved sometimes, so that's the only thing about him that I do feel bad about. I wish we got one more season of him, at least one more playoff run where we sort of knew that was the year that he was going to end his career.
Yeah. They got the two goalies that took over. Not complaining with those two.
Oh, I know. Don't worry. I'm very happy with Sway and Oli, but I will say I do miss Tuca a lot. He was definitely my guy. The first jersey I ever got was a Tuca Rask Bruins jersey. So, and it was like so oversized, but now it fits me perfectly today. So that's probably one of my favorite jerseys I have.
That's awesome.
Well, before UNH, like you mentioned, you played for your some club teams in your local area, but then you headed off to the USHL and you played for the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders and the Muskegon Lumberjacks. How did you get the opportunity to go to the USHL?
Yeah, it's not crazy. So what I was originally gonna do, not a lot of people know this, but like in the Northeast region, a lot of people decide they kind of go the prep school route. So they'll kind of maybe their junior year instead of going off to the USHL, they'll take it not a year off, but repeat a year, and then they'll repeat junior year and say go to a prep school. So that was originally my plan. So I was visiting all prep schools. And then my coach, when I played U16, he he actually helped me get drafted to Cedar Rapids. I think it was in the 14th round or something like that. And he was like, "Would you go to main camp?" And I was like, "Sure, like why not?" But my mind was still set on prep school. I was still visiting schools, still doing all the interviews. But when I went out to the main camp, I actually played really well, earned a spot on the team. And then now I had a decision to make whether or not to go play USHL or go to prep school. And I was admitted to Tabor. It's down in Mass. So I was deciding between that and Cedar Rapids. And after talking to friends and family, we decided like Cedar Rapids was the best decision. Practicing with older guys every day. the pace of play every day, and also having a chance to, I guess, live away from home where you're uncomfortable. It honestly helped me mature a lot faster. Um, and then, yeah, I had to make that phone call to the Tabor coach and let him know I wasn't coming, and then make the phone call to Coach Carlson and tell him I was coming. I was excited. That was a really fun year. Definitely some ups and downs, but it was probably the best year for, I guess, a learning year. I definitely had to face a lot of adversity. I know um, there was one point in the season where I was scratched 5 games in a row. So pretty much, I mean, how USHL works is it's 2 games a weekend, maybe one. So I was essentially scratched for a month straight. Um, that at in the moment, that was really tough. Being away from home, not coming home to mom or dad, and you kind of got to deal with it by yourself. Um, which I realized, I mean, that adversity helped me kind of grow and realize that, you know what, you got to take every practice now as your game. You got to take every workout as it's like your last. Um, and at the end of the day, I mean, after the end of the season, Coach Carlson, who's still the head coach today of Cedar Rapids, like we'll still talk, and I'll honestly say like thank you. Like I know you probably inadvertently you did it, but it helped me in the long run. Because I mean, I still look back to those days and realize like I got myself out of that. The adversity still helps me today, still pushes me. So, and then after that, I was still planning to go back to CR the next year. Um, but I think it's called a derecho or derecho, something Midwest where it's a hurricane/tornado destroyed the rink. Um, I remember that Zoom call with Coach. It was a sad one that he said they won't be playing that year. So I was in dispersal draft. And then Muskegon ultimately picked me up, which that was a really fun year. The coaches were awesome. We had actually a really good team. We ended up losing the semis to Chicago, who ultimately ended up winning, but that was a really good year for me as well.
Yeah, and that Chicago team was loaded, so no shame in losing against them.
Oh, trust me. I mean, I live with a guy who beat me. So I live with or there's 2 kids on the team now that
Oh wow.
they like to remind me every day.
Oh, that's tough, but I feel like I don't know. There's probably other things that you could sort of chirp them about as well.
Yeah.
What's like the best memory you have in the USHL when you look back on it? Is it getting scratched in those 5 games, or is it sort of like a goal you might have scored, or off the ice memory with like one of those long bus rides that you and your team might have had?
Yeah, I mean I wouldn't say like the scratch is get like having a good memory. It's just to me it's
Yeah,
memory. Best memory. I would honestly just say for me off the ice is just like say like you go to the hotel or you play and say if I'm in Cedar Rapids, Muskegon, we go to Youngstown and we go the day before, like those dinners are always the best. It's always just jokes being had, chirps being yelled at each other, just laughing. Those are the times where you'll never forget, and those were where a lot of memories were made. So I would say that.
and how did the USHL help prepare you for college hockey? Obviously, you're playing with and against other D1 commits, so that definitely makes that transition easier.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helped me kind of more, or it helped me with the speed. Definitely 2 years of that helped, and especially coming to the USHL, being a 16, 17-year-old, excuse me, playing against guys who were age outs at the time, so 19, 20. That helped. And then another thing for me was, I guess, just the off ice component. Being away from home, you kind of got to fend for yourself. Time management, I was still doing school out there, so kind of helped me transition to like my freshman year. Kind of, how am I doing this? Am I doing homework here? How is it not going to affect me on the ice or when I'm at the rink? So kind of putting two and two and kind of making sure I'm doing good at both. So I think
Yeah.
that's what helped me.
So I now want to ask you about your recruiting process with UNH. What made you want to play there versus other schools you might have looked at? Obviously, you're a local guy, so that must have been a huge played a huge factor into your recruiting process. But how did Sousa find you, and what made you ultimately want to go be a Wildcat?
Yeah, I mean that was probably one of the deciding factors. I'm no more than a 40-minute drive from campus, which is pretty cool to say. Um, Another reason was, being away from home these past 2 years, and having my family so close. I mean, they've missed out of the 2 years I played, they might have missed 2 games. So having them come to every game and experience it, I mean, that's really special to me. Um, as far as the recruiting process, I mean, I'm really close with our assistant coach, Jeffrey Giuliano. Um, I've been working with him for probably like long before I was being recruited to UNH, so already had that relationship. Um, and then, I mean, that's probably where it all started. That contact with Jeff, and then Coach Suze came into the picture. Coach Stewart came into the picture. We had great conversations. I know after I took my initial visit, I got in the car and I remember saying, "I'm good. Like I don't need to see any other schools. Like this is where I want to go."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And also like just road games as well. Like your parents get to go see those as well since they're all so close by, which is another factor that I just thought of now.
Yeah, I mean it's like the longest ride for them is probably Vermont, maybe Maine.
Hmm.
That's not even compared to where like I remember them driving like 9 hours to a USHL game.
Hmm.
So to Vermont, it's kind of like nothing to them.
Oh,
So
exactly. And what was sort of like the biggest adjustment once you came on campus as a freshman? Was it the speed of the game, just the physicality, or just sort of the adjustment of balancing hockey and academics?
um for me, I think it was just, playing against older guys, playing against I think the biggest difference between college and I guess juniors or USHL, however you want to call it, he's got to be mentally focused like every second, no matter if it's practice, no matter if it's the game. Um, because I mean, I don't want to say you can get away with it in juniors, but and certainly, I mean, they're the same age as you, but like in college, like I remember playing against some 24, 25-year-olds. So I thought that was the biggest adjustment. And then obviously the size, um, like they're grown man. I'm still growing to my body. So, putting more weight on the weight room, getting faster, getting stronger, getting quicker. Um, I would say that was the biggest adjustment. The speed was fine because I mean the USHL, I mean that was the COVID year too, so college guys came back, so I kind of got a little taste before going in. Um, but yeah, I think it was the mental side for most of it.
Now you got your first career goal against Maine, which I think is pretty sick as a UNH guy. Just talk about that goal and where do you keep the puck today?
Yeah, I was I was hoping it was going to come a little bit earlier in the season, but I'm kind of glad it came against Maine. It was the second game against Maine. First one we kind of got not blown out, but they beat us pretty good. And the second one, I remember I got off the point, came over, went top right, which is actually pretty cool. And of course, that was the only game my parents didn't come to. Uh, they were watching from home. But right now it's back at home. It's on a shelf next to a picture in my room. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's pretty sick. And what was your freshman year just like overall, from your perspective?
Um, it was a lot of fun. I mean the guys in my class are my best friends, so that's obviously a huge plus, getting along with them. Um, and the older guys made it like 10 times easier. They made us feel comfortable right away as soon as we got into campus, which I think was the biggest thing. Um, and then, no, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I mean, definitely you're gonna have ups and downs as a freshman. Uh,
Hmm.
but I know our captain, Will McKinn, he did a good job of, realizing it, maybe pulling you aside, helping with you. So I give him a lot of credit. He did a really good job. Um, I mean, other than that, I mean, I wouldn't say it was smooth sailing, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask you about this past season and just sort of your team's performance in general. So obviously UNH had a pretty interesting year in my opinion, because I don't think your record sort of indicated your team's performance to me because it seemed like your team had a tough start in the beginning of the season, had lost some really close games, but then towards the end of the season, you guys went on a run and sort of found a way to put some games together. I think it really started in that series against or that game against Providence in early January. So my question to you is, when you look back on this past season, what do you take away from your team's performances and sort of the ups and downs that you guys had?
Yeah, I mean, obviously on paper, you're going to see that we lost what 11, 12 in a row. But if anyone like watched our games, we'd be up going into the second period or third period. We'd be up 2-1. Um, it's just it's what I alluded to. I mean, we're a young team, we're a little bit inexperienced. I'm not giving that as an excuse, but I mean, we got at the end of the day, you got to find a way to win. Um, we definitely learned from that. We didn't want to have that be the narrative going into the second half of the season after break. Because we kind of had the MO of saying, like, you know what, we've had this bad of a stretch. I mean, let's just forget about it. Brand new season after the break. We actually did pretty well. I think we knocked off 3 or 4 ranked teams. Which to us it wasn't a surprise, but maybe to the outside it was. I mean, we knew what we had in the room. We knew what we were capable of. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that happens. It's just
Yeah.
how you.
Yeah, because I remember Ryan Black told me he was like, we played one of the best games of the season against Union, and you guys still like lost that game, and it was just super frustrating. So how do you guys sort of like mentally try to get out of that funk and stay positive during that tough time?
Yeah, well, we've had some meetings about it. Just to talk about it, kind of vent a little bit and kind of see where everyone's head at. Um, but at the same time, we kept going back to the thing where it's like, you know what, trust the guy next to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Because I mean, the scores aren't saying we're winning, but I mean, we're doing all the right things. Yeah, I mean, what Ryan alluded to, I mean, the Union game, we were in their zone the whole time. We just couldn't finish. But yeah, I mean, the message was honestly just stick to stick to what we're doing. The ice is going to tip at some point.
Now, your team lost to Providence in the Hockey's playoffs last season. What did you learn from that game, and what do you think your team needs to do this upcoming season to get over the hump and win a Hockey's playoff game and sort of use some of the challenges that you guys dealt with last year heading into next year as a step forward, especially as a young group like you alluded to?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the first thing is don't we can't put ourselves in a position of playing on a Wednesday anymore. Um, because then Saturday we'll get home ice or we'll play away, whatever. But that Wednesday game, we don't want to play that this year. Um, and then I mean, what we learned from that game is that I mean, we don't want to be in that game. We don't want to have that feeling. I mean, I've been here 2 years. It's the same feeling I've had. Um, how it's ending our season. But then, I mean, the guys that are coming back, we're just using as motivation. Um, we kind of keep a little bit of that feeling in the back of our tongue just to let us know that it's there. Um, and kind of use it. I mean, just use it as motivation. That's pretty much it.
Now, individually, what would you say is the biggest improvement you've made to your game since the beginning of your collegiate career?
Um, Biggest improvement, um, I would just say my strength, my overall strength, whether that's in the corners or, um, you know what, staying on my feet if I get hit, something like that. I think that I've gotten a little bit better at that. I know the freshman year sometimes would look like Bambi falling over the ice, but um, no, I mean our trainers do a really good job, and I think I've improved a lot in that area. So I'm pleased with that, and I'm still working at it. So
Now, next season, you're going to be an upperclassman and you're also going to be wearing a letter. So, what type of leadership do you want to bring to the team? Would you consider yourself more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
um, definitely, I would say a little bit of both. Definitely a lead by example player. Um, Trying to do the right thing all the time. Um, Kind of trying to show the freshmen kind of how we do things around here, how it should be done. And then for me this year, I'm really going to challenge myself to go outside my comfort zone and be a little bit more vocal. um as having a letter and not being an upperclassman, I believe anywhere, um you know what, when you speak up, people are going to listen. So I think I'm definitely going to use my voice more. I'm not going to kind of go ramble on it and go say everything that I need to say or say it every time, but I'm definitely going to pick my spots. Um, and yeah, I'm just going to speak when I feel the need is to speak.
And as a team, what are your guys' goals and expectations for next season?
Right now, we to be top four in the league. Um, that's a really big goal of ours. Obviously, make it to the Garden, win that, and then make it to the tournament, and then win that.
Hmm.
So
I like the
pretty,
steps
so
that you
pretty,
need to take.
pretty simple goals, but
Yeah.
starts with starts with one practice, one game. So take it day by day.
Hey, Hockey East, I think is has a ton of parity this year, so I can't see why any team wouldn't make the top four. It's going to be challenging, but as a fan, it's exciting to see how it's gonna all unfold.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can probably ask any other guy in the league. There's no easy night.
Hmm.
I think every guy can agree with that, whether they're on BC, BU, Vermont, Maine, both UMasses, Merrimack. They could say all the same things. We're gonna have a really good teams coming in the first start of the year, so I'm excited. I mean, that's what we want. We want to be tested right away. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Now, I do want to get into the draft a little bit, because I'm just curious about that. So, obviously, you were picked by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the sixth round. What was your draft day like, and how excited were you when Tampa finally made the pick to get you on their organization?
Yeah. So how I found out was I was at the World Junior Summer Showcase in Plymouth, Michigan. Um, and the draft was going on. Everybody was getting drafted. Um, I remember checking my phone to see if my advisor texted me or something, or my coach texted me. I didn't get anything, so I went on the ice, and it was probably the sixth round. And I remember we were doing like power play practice, and I got off the bench, and one of the trainers like tapped me. He said, "Congrats, like Tampa." I like spun back a little bit. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Congrats, you got drafted." And I was like, "Can you show me your phone so I know you're not messing with me?" So he showed me it, and I saw it, and obviously I was really excited. Um, Came off the ice to my phone, kind of being blown up. Um, and then yeah, I mean, my mom sent me a video of her watching it, her crying, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was kind of a weird moment of of where I was when I got drafted, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty.
That one was pretty interesting too, because it was like in the middle of the summer. Normally it's like right when the season ends in June. So I feel like the 2020 and 2021 drafts were just it was just more, I guess it's sort of weird to think about those because they're just so different compared to the ones we've had the last 2 years.
Yeah, after the COVID years, and we didn't even have development camp too.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so the guys who were getting drafted, they just got drafted and had to wait till the next year to go.
What was your development camp experience like? Because I know you were just there a couple weeks ago. What was that like meeting the other prospects and sort of getting to go to Tampa?
Yeah, obviously Tampa's a really cool spot. We were right next to a huge mall at the hotel with all the guys. Having it be my second time, I kind of knew some more faces, knew some more names. It's definitely more comfortable. So, and then obviously the camp itself, it was hard, but it was good. You have so many resources there, so many questions being asked. Um, we would skate twice a day, have a workout, have some, whether it be like a nutritional meeting, mental health meeting or training, excuse me, and then we'd go to Top Golf one night. And other than that, it's just spending time with the other guys, getting to know them, getting to know where they're from. I talked to Eamon Powell on BC. He was there. Dylan Duke from Michigan, Tyler Duke, Michigan, Jack Harvey, BU. So kind of getting to know those guys. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. How's Top Golf? Who was like the best player at that? Because I interviewed Clavs and he said it was Isaac Howard, but I feel like that guy gets so much love. So I feel like it might there is there someone else that might be
There was
like
one of the trainers, Jamie Hefferman. He's actually a pro,
oh,
so
okay.
I would say him.
All right. Was it Howard though? Was he the best player golfer though?
Um, I would say so.
Oh, okay. I feel like he has to though, because if he's walking up to the draft with a white suit, you have to sort of be like you have to be good at something outside of hockey as well.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions, sort of get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So first one is, what music do you like to listen to before a game?
Um, I would say rap. I'm not picky. Whoever's on aux during a game or before a game, I'll just kind of listen to it. It doesn't matter whether it could be rap, EDM, um, nothing. It doesn't really matter to me.
What a road arena is your favorite to play in?
Road arena, Maine.
Yeah, that
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, like having them. I know we'll go up there once this year. That I'm looking forward to, and they come here twice again, which that'll be really cool. Um, their atmosphere is really fun to play in. They're hostile, which is cool, and especially when you score, they get quiet. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think it's more fun to score on the road against them than at home, just because I feel like hearing the crowd quiet down and just sort of being that villain is kind of there's just a different feeling to it than just scoring in front of your fans. Even though that's just as fun, I feel like there's
Yeah.
something unique about that. I don't know, maybe that's just me just talking.
Yeah, there's definitely probably you could probably say that to everybody and there'd be two arguments everywhere, but I mean either way I think it'd be pretty unique.
Now, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Um read this week or read like in the past.
It could be anything in the past month, honestly.
I've got a book. I was actually right next to my desk. It's right here. It's called Fearless. It's about a Navy SEAL, Team Six operator named Adam Brown. Um, Kind of talking about his life, his ultimate sacrifice. So I kind of keep that on my desk to remind me that kind of a bad day in my life isn't so bad.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean those are always. I kind of like reading those type of books. Those are always interesting to me. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta check that out now. Thanks for the recommendations. So I think for me, honestly, the most interesting thing I saw was I was reading or seeing a topic about how more elite Canadian players are going to the USHL and the college hockey route rather than playing in like major juniors. And I just think that's an interesting trend, but I kind of see why you would want to go to college hockey more than those major junior teams, just because of the nice facilities, just the teams you play, and I just think just sort of that atmosphere of being a college hockey player is just so unique and so fun. So I just
Yeah.
thought that was pretty interesting seeing that trend, because the number one pick in the draft next year is supposed to go to BU, and then obviously or is going to BU, and then obviously you saw Owen Power in 2021, and then some other top five prospects this year played who are from Canada played college hockey. So I just thought that was a pretty interesting thing to look at.
Yeah, I mean those guys, you could probably say they paved the way. uh,
Mhm.
for most Canadians who are want to go the junior to college route. Um, of course, like Power, Fantilli. I mean, plus everyone's looking probably at the Chicago Steel and saying, "Wow, like their development is second to none."
Yeah.
So they're probably looking at that and be like, "All right, I want to go to that."
And someone also said they're like, would you rather play at like Arizona State or play in like some random place in like Alberta that you've never heard of? And it's like, yeah, that does make sense a little bit as well. So
Yeah, that's true.
well, one more non-hockey question is just actually I have two more. If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
If I could have lunch with anyone in the world, oh, if I could have lunch with anyone in the world, I would just say, um, I'm trying to go like off of hockey here. Um, I would say maybe Elvis or something along that lines, just to kind of
Yeah.
hear his stories. I think that would be pretty interesting.
I'll
Uh,
probably go with Tom Brady. I just think he seems like a guy that I would want to learn a lot from just because of how he overcame a lot of adversity in his athletic career.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I was thinking sports, but at the same time, I was like, man, I always say sports, so I was like, I'll go something else.
Now, last non-hockey question is: you have the best style on the UNH men's hockey team. Who, besides yourself, would you say has the best style on the team?
I have the best style. Some guys may not agree, but I'll take that one.
I told that to Cronin when he was on here. So anytime whoever's on the podcast is
Uh,
the best style. So
he probably ate that up. The best style, I would say, best style. I gotta go with. I'll go with Liam Devlin.
okay.
I'd say he's got the best style. I'll give that one to him.
Now, final question for you is: if for what advice would you give younger players on what it takes to be a college hockey player like yourself?
Um, Honestly, my advice is kind of trust the process, don't rush it. Um, you know what? As as corny as you want to think it is, but if you're good enough, they'll find you. And then keep working at the little things. You know what? Coaches notice that. They notice good changes, good body language, how you interact with your teammates, how you communicate with your teammates, how you receive coaching. Um, are you willing to be coached? Stuff like that, I think goes a long way because the more people in your corner, the better. The more doors will open for you. So